One word. Jopper. Joyce Byers was very frustrated, ready to crawl out of her own skin with it. The source of her frustration? Well, half of it was down to her boyfriend, Bob Newby. Bob was probably the most gentle man she'd ever met, maybe a little too gentle. He treated her like she was made of fine china, fragile. While at first it was nice, having someone taking care of her, it was now getting annoying. She wasn't fragile. She'd been through more than Bob could ever imagine. Another problem was the bedroom. Again, he treated her like she was fragile, like she would break if he so much as breathed too hard. She might as well be having sex with a ghost for all she felt. She never reached climax. Normally, that wouldn't be such a big problem. She could always take care of things herself. But this had been going on for the last few months. She'd spent ages trying and trying, but climax eluded her. She came close, but could never go over it. It was a very frustrating situation. One not helped by the presence of Jim Hopper. Her feelings for Hopper were complicated, to say the least. They'd been through a lot together. He'd been the only one, too, who eventually... He'd been the only one to eventually believe her about Will being alive. They'd tracked down Eleven's mother, discovered the truth about the Hawkins lab, and traveled into the Upside Down together. Hopper had saved Will's life down there. He kept the press and gossips at bay. Since he'd been there when Joyce needed someone to talk to, she told him all her worries and fears. He came to the appointments at the lab. He was her best friend, the only person she could really be herself with. She couldn't imagine her life without him. He was also a very attractive man. Tall, rugged, and sexy, especially in his uniform. And as for his eyes, sometimes he looked at her and it was like Niagara Falls down there. He'd been he main star of her masturbation fantasies until she started dating Bob. And then it felt too much like cheating. But lately, every time she was around Hopper, she was constantly thinking about sex. Not the delicate love-making kind from Bob, but hard, sweaty love-making. "Are you all right, Joyce?" Hopper asked, looking worried. She jumped, realizing she'd been staring into her coffee for the last 10 minutes. "I'm fine," she said. "No, I'm not. I'm horny because I want you and I can't think straight." He wasn't convinced. "Are you sure? Because if there's something wrong, you can tell me. You can tell me anything." He put his hand over hers and she gasped. His touch was electric, like lightning strikes going straight to her groin. Panicking, she grabbed the cups and ran to the sink with them. She took a couple of deep breaths, trying to calm herself down. God, she was so horny. No. She wanted to fuck Hopper so bad, but it couldn't happen. She wouldn't cheat. She'd sworn long ago she would never put anyone through what Lonnie had put her through with his infidelity. She never thought it? Oh, there's a question mark randomly in the middle of the sentence. She never thought it would be this hard, though. Hopper stepped up behind her. She could feel the heat from his body. She fought the urge to lean back against him. "Joyce," he said softly, I know something's wrong. Tell me, don't shut me out now. He put his hands gently on her arms. She jumped away from him. He stared in shock. What the? He stopped, taking in her flushed face, shallow breaths, her nipples like bullets. His eyes darkened. He quickly licked his own lips. She could practically feel his tongue on her body. Something inside her finally snapped. She jumped on him, kissing him with all the passion she'd kept dammed up. She didn't care about Bob. She didn't care about Bob, that she was doing what she'd sworn never to do. All she cared about was, next chapter. Oh boy. Bob Newby whistled as he drove towards the buyer's house. His life was wonderful at the moment, and it was all down to Joyce Byers. He adored her, worshipped her, had done since high school. She was perfect. Their relationship was perfect. The only problem was that between her job and her kids, it was hard for them to get any alone time together. He didn't mind that so much. He adored the boys. Of course, they were Joyce's kids, part of her, and they were a perfect little family. But his heart sank a little bit when he saw Jim Hopper's Blazer parked in front of the buyer's house. God damn it. It wasn't that he disliked Jim or was jealous of his friendship with Joyce. After all, she'd chosen to be with Bob. But Jim's frequent presence made getting time alone with her even harder. He shrugged. Oh well, Jim was probably about to leave. I don't know, Bob. Bob might get some alone time with Joyce after all. He knocked on the door. No answer. He knocked again. No answer. He pressed his ear against the door. Silence. Something was off. If Joyce and Jim were hanging out in the kitchen like they usually do, he should be able to hear them talking. Worried that something might be wrong, he tried the door, just surprised to find it unlocked. The kitchen seemed normal, but... the kitchen seemed normal. Jim's hat and jacket dumped on the table, a still smoking cigarette in the ashtray. And then he caught sight of something on the floor. He picked it up. Joyce's cardigan. What was Joyce's cardigan doing on the floor? And was that Jim's shirt? There was a whole trail of abandoned clothes leading right up to moans from Joyce's bedroom, accompanied by groans, the creaking of bed springs, the thud of something, possibly a headboard, banging against a wall. Bob walked towards the door. He didn't want to go. He wanted to leave and get in his car and go home. Pretend he hadn't been here. Oh, poor Bob. He's like in a horror movie. He doesn't want to find this out. But like in a nightmare, his feet wouldn't obey his brain. He stepped over over shirts, pants. His hand even skimmed a bra on the back of the sofa. Joyce's bra. Oh, good that he clarified it was Joyce's. How many times had he struggled to unfasten it? She wouldn't even let him try anymore. Oh gosh. He reached the door. The noises were louder. He wanted to cover his ears. Oh my God. But instead, he pushed the handle down, opened the door a crack, and peeked inside. Dude, he probably doesn't even know what sex is. Joyce was completely nude, on her hands and knees on the bed, while an equally naked Jim took her roughly from behind. I'm just gonna, so this is, this part is like, I'm not gonna read this, but there's just one part I liked there's I like this verbiage here. So basically, Bob is looking at Jim's penis, and he noticed with a stab of envy that Jim's was bigger than his own. Um, okay. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. So Jim eventually roars. Uh, and he roars so loudly at the end of this interaction with Joyce that the two of them don't even hear Bob slamming the doors. He flees. This is so sad. Um, okay, so you can comment if you want to read more of that, but I just feel bad for Bob, man. Uh, okay, bye.